And we are actually live for once. Hello there, all you Bi-Conics wrestling nerds out there. And welcome to the officially first live review for the Bi-Conics YouTube channel. For those of you watching, tuning in, who might be replaying this later, hello, hi, hola, konnichiwa. How are we doing? Listen, this is a big moment for us. I've been playing around with the StreamYard. And yeah, we are officially live. I'm excited, Will. I hope you're excited.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm very excited.
This is a new venture for us. I don't know what is happening, but I am super excited to be here. And as you can tell, my name is Mikey, or El Jefe around these parts. I am joined by my co-host, Will, otherwise known as Papa Oso around these parts. And welcome to another edition of Los Chicos Gordos, your weekly WWE NXT review team. And this one's a special one, Will, because we just got done watching NXT together, which doesn't normally happen. We actually got to watch it on an actual Tuesday, so that's crazy. Yeah, it's wild out here. But we are here to review this week's NXT, and this is the last NXT of 2023, but this is also the final NXT before New Year's Evil next week, which we'll go into later in the show. Before we dive into this review bit by bit, Will, what were your overall thoughts about this week's episode?
Yeah, so I think I told you before we started when we were off camera that if all of them were like this one, I would be like 10-10 right out the gate, because I thought this episode, and I know it was a pre-recorded episode, but it just sailed by so smoothly. And I know a lot of it's edited, but man, talk about every single match was so good in this episode. I don't think there was a weak match at all. There were some that were just like, whoa, and then there were some that were like, yeah. There was nothing like, oh, okay, we could have done without that one, or I didn't feel that there was anything like that. I thought they were all pretty good right across the board, and we got some backstage stuff, not a whole lot of it, which I think added to the progress of the episode, because there wasn't as many interruptions, basically. But no, this is great. This is a great episode. I thought so. There were some great ups, and there were some really great emotional moments, and there was some great hell yeah moments, and yeah. So yeah, I think overall it was pretty good.
I absolutely agree. And one thing I will say as we go through this review, the fact that a lot of this was pre-taped, it really did help the flow of everything, and nothing felt out of place. I didn't feel like we dragged on with a couple of segments, which honestly, I am here for it. So, Papa Oso, if you are ready, let's just jump straight in. This week's NXT opens up with an all or nothing match. So at first I was like, what does that even mean? But thankfully, Booker T and Vic Joseph let us know what exactly this all or nothing match is between Chase U and Out the Mud. If Chase U wins, Out the Mud will give Chase U the money they need in order to get out of the hole because of Andre Chase's debt that he had with his gambling problem. But if Out the Mud win, then by proxy, they get to challenge the family for the NXT championships at some point down the line. Yeah. I thought this was a fun match itself. Duke Hudson was my MVP for this whole entire match. But one thing I will say, as we were watching this, and you could check out the full watch along on the Patreon if you subscribe and join the Patreon, you can see the full watch along version of everything. Is so fun. You could tell that Out the Mud is still a little green when it comes to the ring, because one particular member was in there doing all the work until the very end. And poor Duke Hudson, man, he can never catch a break. Andre Chase has always got to screw it up.
Yep. And Andre Chase is always getting his ass kicked every single time.
I don't even know. And I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
I don't either. I don't know where this is going. It was fun and it was cool. It was mysterious, and now it's just getting convoluted. Like now it's just I'm losing interest in it, and I hate that. Because it was like I said when this whole Chase You thing started, it was super fun, and it's this is so silly and fun, and we're having a good time. And now we're getting into back alley deals, and I don't. It just feels weird. I don't know. This feels weird to me, and okay.
Realistically, it's only been like a month and a half per se,
Mhm.
but I feel like we have dragged this storyline out for a little bit longer than it need to. And I agree with you. It's getting convoluted because at first I thought the family was going to be involved in this somehow,
Yeah.
like getting Chase You out of debt or they owe them something. But then it turns out they're not. And then Out the Mud comes in. This is getting way too convoluted. And with Chase You right now, we have two different storylines that are going on right now. We have Andre Chase and Duke Hudson in the, let's say, the university storyline, whereas JC and Thea are mostly Thea, though, but JC's there to be supportive bestie into how can I impress Riley Osborne?
Yeah, that's funny.
If you
Now
haven't, yeah.
the JC and Thea, I'm not tired of at all. I'm excited for that. That's great. And I've noticed that they've separated it from the Duke and Andre. I've noticed they've separated them. So I'm glad they've done that because I just think this story is dragging us down. I think it's time to end this, whatever this is. Just end it and move on.
I agree. But if you couldn't already tell, Out the Mud picks up the victory here. And they get a title match against the family at some point. They didn't announce it for New Year's Eve, so who knows when that will be. I don't know how I feel about the family and Out the Mud feuding.
Yeah.
Granted, you have to do something since the Creeds moved to main roster, and I didn't tell Will this yet, but Los Lotharios are now on main roster too. They are on SmackDown with Santos Escobar as part of his new little factions. The only male tag teams we really have left is Out the Mud, the family, and Chase You. That's it.
I hate that Los Lotharios left.
Yeah, I wanted them to stick around, at least had one NXT title run, but I am happy to see them paired up with Santos Escobar. I think they're going to be really good on SmackDown. And honestly, the storyline with the feud between Santos and Los Lotharios versus Rey and the LWO and Dragon Lee, I think is going to be really fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So unbeknownst to me and Will here, we also got the year-end awards where apparently the NXT audience voted. I was like, did they though? Because I didn't see anything. Because while I agree with some of these picks, I may have a different opinions for a lot of these. And I'm going to say it. I don't care. Even though we're reviewing NXT, Impact did their awards so much better because we actually got to see video packages of these people receiving these awards. Like in an acceptance speech. I was like, you couldn't have done like a 30-second video. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. But we got our first 3 awards for Tag Team of the Year. Went to the Creed Brothers, which I think is deservedly. They won me over in their steel cage match against the Dyad, which was amazing. And then the match they had against Los Lotharios at Halloween Havoc 2. I think the Creeds are amazing, and they're killing it right now on the main roster. They just had a Tag Team Championship match for the main belts. They did not win them, but they made the Judgment Day work a little harder. So I was happy to see that. For female NXT Superstar of the Year, it went to Tiffany Stratton, which I also agree. Her match against Lyra at Battleground was amazing, and then her summer run with the title was great. Her feud with Becky was awesome. And now she is about to, what seems to be to finish up her feud with Fallon at next week at New Year's Evil, which we'll get into that in a little bit. And then, of course, deservedly male superstar of the year goes to Ilya Dragunov, which agreed.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. There's nothing really to say. There's no acceptance speech, whatever. It's fine. So then we get our first backstage segment. This is with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams is not sure, and he says he might have to push the match back because he wants Ilya at his best and at 100%. And Carmelo, being the ultimate instigator that he is, says, no, bro, you got to take your shot. It's just, it doesn't matter if he's 100%. No one talks about you beating the opponent at 100%. And then Trick gets a little defensive because he asked Carmelo, "What, you don't think I can beat him at 100%?" And he's, "No, dude. The winners don't get talked about if they beat someone 100%. They get talked about because they beat the person regardless." And then Carmelo started listing some NBA players that were in a similar situation. But Trick's like, "All right, Ilya's on his way over here, so I'm going to figure out what we going to do." And then that ends the segment there. I swear, if Carmelo gets involved next week, I might actually get upset.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me at all if he stepped in and screwed it up for Trick, which would solidify, I think, a tear between them, to be honest.
That is very fair.
I don't know.
We will just have to see what happens with all that. And we will talk more about Baby Trick Williams later because he closes out. Him and Ilya close out this week's episode, which we'll talk about later. Then we get to our next match, which at this point, even though this was only the second match of the night, I was not ready for what we witnessed. This was the NXT Heritage Cup Championship, and this saw challenger Josh Briggs take on the champion Noam Dar. William, I was not ready for how brutal both men got this match. I was expecting Josh to be crazy, but Noam Dar was hitting harder than I have ever seen him hit hard since winning this championship.
I was floored. I was absolutely floored by the brutality. I couldn't get over it. I was just like, wow. Because we had talked about it when we were watching it live, about how usually the Heritage Cups, with anytime Noam Dar is involved, they're light and fluffy and fun. And this was like dark and vicious. I've never seen Noam fight like this before, and I was just like, wow. Just wow. I was impressed. I was impressed, and I was gobsmacked. Because I was just like, we've never seen Noam Dar do. We've never seen that before. Truly, wow, man.
This was a lot more hard hitting than I thought it was going to be. Some of the key moments I think that really threw me for the loop. Just the multiple power bombs that Josh gave Noam over the course of this match was insane. Not just the power, but the height that Josh threw Noam from. And then when Noam kicked Josh square in the face and then he started bleeding out the nose, I was like, oh, something broke, something happened, like it's about to go down. But what surprised me even more is that Josh was the only one to pick up a pinfall this whole entire match, which I was interested by. I thought Noam would have at least got one before we got to the DQ, which we'll just go there right now. So in round 4, it was Lash. Yeah, it was Lash who hit Josh with the bucket. He grabbed the bucket. The ref was distracted. Noam tried to hit Josh with said bucket. Josh grabbed bucket. Ref turns around as Josh beats the bricks off of Noam with the bucket, and then the ref calls for a DQ. So because of the disqualification, Noam Dar is still your NXT Heritage Cup Championship. So now the question that I have to ask, Will, do you think NXT will run this match back? Are we going to get a rematch at some point between these two? Because Josh looked like he was still wanting to kill Noam after the match was said and done.
You know, I think yes. I think we will eventually get a rematch here. But with what happens later, I wonder if that's the precursor to that. Because I think so. I wouldn't say yes. Because now you and I because we were talking about it, that they've really been pushing Briggs out front a lot lately. So I'm curious if they're going to put him into a title run. And Heritage Cup would be a good stepping stone. If he was to take the Heritage Cup and hang on to it for a while and defend it, I think eventually they would have him step into a title match. Because he's good. He's really good. And the powerhouse. The way he was just throwing Noam Dar around like a rag doll was just insane. And so I don't know. I think perhaps that's what's going on here. I think they're setting Briggs up. I think they're setting him up to eventually go for a title match. I really do. Because we've just been seeing way too much of him for that to be a coincidence.
I 100% agree. Honestly, I'm rooting for Josh to win a championship now at this point.
Yeah.
You just only recently been introduced to Josh since you joined the Bi-Conics a couple months ago. But I've been following Josh since NXT re-debuted underneath his current brand like 2 years ago. And man, they're finally giving him a push. And listen, during the watch along, I was curious to see because it looked like Josh was a whole foot taller than Noam Dar. So I was like, how tall is this man? And me and Will were shocked to find out that Josh is 6'8". That is a very tall boy. That is a tall boy.
Yeah, he is.
I'm like, man, but you could tell Josh was disappointed that he ended up with the DQ in this match. But we're gonna revisit him a little bit later in the show. But right now, we head back to Nathan Frazer and Axiom just chilling and talking. Nathan Frazer talks a lot of smack about Bron Breakker. And then my favorite cliche ever happens. He continues to talk smack about Bron. Bron walks up behind him as Axiom's trying to like discreetly to tell him, be like, yo, bro, you need to be quiet. And then, of course, Nathan does my favorite thing. He's right behind me, isn't he? But what I appreciate is Nathan, he's like, all right, he literally says, all right, let's do this. Turns around to Bron. They have a back and forth about it. Bron doesn't appreciate Nathan talking about him. Nathan's, bro, I would tell you this to your face. It's not like I'm talking crap behind your back. And I'm going to beat you. If I ever see you again, I'm going to beat you up. And it's, improve it then. Let's have a match tonight and see if you can spear me out of the air. And we get a match later. And I love that we end the segment by Axiom just looking upset. It's like, bro, I try to wink at you. And Nathan's, what?
That was so funny. I was like, I was winking at you. I'm like, oh my God.
I was like, Axiom, you have a mask on, bro. I need you to relax. I loved it so much. And this does set up our match between the two of them later in the show. Then we move on to our first women's match of the night. This is Cora Jade versus Carmen Petrovic. I will say this was a lot more one-sided in the sense that Carmen got most of the offense in this match, which I was very shocked. I know, granted, that Cora Jade is just coming back after being away for about 6 months or so. But man, Carmen got most of the offense in this match. But because Cora is the mean girl, like, of course, she picks up the victory here. And she proceeds to beat down Carmen with Gigi coming in for the save. And then that's how we end this match in segment. This is a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, but I figured it was going to be. I thought for sure, because we knew Cora was going to win this coming into it. And I figured that it was going to be a fast one. I thought it was Cora's going to come in and be like, done, be like, there, shut your mouth. Move into the locker on the other side of the building or whatever and be done. I was okay with it because I think this was a shutdown match. Cora was just shutting Carmen down. Okay, got anything else you want to say? You type of match. We fought. I whooped your ass. And now, is that it? Are we done? Can we move on now? Type of match. I was okay. I going into it, I figured it would probably be a shorter match because it was one of those setup matches. It's, oh, you're in my space. Oh, really? So you want to fight about it? Yeah, let's fight about it. And then, okay, we're done. Though I have to say, Cora was pretty awesome though.
Now, what has me interested in this match per se is the fact that since Gigi came out from the save, I'm thinking we're gonna get Cora versus Gigi at some point, which I am immediately here for. Gigi is one of my favorites. She won me over this year, and I am so excited. I cannot wait. I hope this is a lengthy feud because honestly, I'm ready for Gigi to face another person because her feud with Blair was awesome. I love that feud they had. And so if that means Cora and Gigi feud for a little bit before.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is good in order to get Cora back into wrestling more since she's been gone for a while. And honestly, it gives her something to do because right now Blair and Lyra are squaring up a little bit. So I think Cora is going to. I think this is a good feud for Cora while she waits to face Lyra eventually, whenever that ends up being, which I'm excited for. Alrighty, so this next match plus what happened afterwards made me super happy. And NXT, I feel like Shawn Michaels or somebody on that team listens and watches us, because what was the biggest complaint we had about the NXT men's breakout tournament? With the fact that when we first got this tournament started 2 weeks ago, your Native American participant, Trey Bearhill, gets attacked by Lexus King and gets knocked out of the tournament. And in order to punish Lexus, he gets a slot into the tournament. I'm like, what kind of chicanery, tomfoolery,
Exactly.
shenanigans was all this? But before we get to the end, which is what we're here for, we have our first semifinals match in the NXT Men's Breakout Tournament, which sees Lexus King taking on Chase U representative Riley Osborne. But during this match, though, who comes out and watches it with the steel chair? It is Trey Bearhill himself. He just pops a squat on the entrance ramp and watches Lexus and Riley go off. Again, I am already a big fan of Riley. This tournament has made me fall in love with him already. Like, I'm already a big fan of his, but that's because I love my high-flying wrestlers. And I gotta say, I thought Lexus was gonna win here, but he got momentarily distracted when Trey picked up the chair and just looked at Lexus, which allowed Riley to knock him off the top rope and hit the prettiest
It was
flawless shooting star
flawless.
press. I was like, oh my gosh, that rotation.
Yeah, it was flawless. It was so smooth and fluid. It was like you could almost hear the hush of the wind. It's like, it was pretty badass.
Oh my goodness. And Riley moves on to the finals next week at New Year's Evil, but that was all cute and everything. But let's talk about why we were really here. Because after the match, Lexus King is confronted by Trey Bearhill in the ring, and Trey kind of whoops him a little bit. And me and Will were just screaming in excitement. We're like, yes, take him.
Yeah, I was like, I really was, when I didn't know that he was going to come into the ring, but I was so excited when he did. I was so excited when he did, because I don't understand. I still don't understand Lexus King's whole thing here. I don't understand what it is. I still haven't figured it out. And it's bugging the crap out of me, because it's okay. And it's so funny, because this is who I am, because when they were talking about, oh, he just hit the first person that was in his way, because there's this whole controversy about why he went for Trey Bearhill, and they were like, oh, he was just because he was the closest one to him. And I was like, no, he wasn't. And I think I went and found the picture of him coming in, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Riley Osborne. It was on the other side.
Yeah.
He had to pass by and hit Trey Bearhill. And I was like, what the hell? Because Mikey knows, and I've been so vocal about this. I was like, I don't understand why we're picking on all the Native American wrestlers. I don't get it. Because it's like, literally, that he bypasses the white boy and goes for the brown boy. And I was just like, what the hell? And so when Trey was sitting there, I loved it. He came in, he put that chair down, he sat and he watched the match. When King was defeated, he got up in that ring, and man, I was like, beat his ass for doing that to you. I was so there for vengeance. I've never in my life have I ever been just like, yeah, give it to him, because he deserves it. And I was there for it. I loved it. And then, of course, Lexus skedaddles like a little biatch out of there. And he's all, oh God, don't come after me. Don't come after me. It's like when Trey's just like yelling at him. And I was like, oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see Trey Bearhill in a match. I'm so excited for this. And I hope to God it's against Lexus King.
It needs to be Will because of the fact that Lexus took Trey out of this NXT breakout tournament and took an opportunity away for him to potentially win that contract for an NXT championship match in the future. Like, I hope what I hope to see is if we're not going to get this match anytime soon, because we're heading into January and technically we have about 4 to 5 weeks until Vengeance Day, which is the first pay-per-view for NXT in 2024. I could see them building a match where, again, it's perfect. Vengeance Day. Hello. You can have this grudge match between Lexus and Trey if they really wanted to at Vengeance Day.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't know
great.
if they'll do it or not, but there needs to be some sort of match. Obviously, we didn't get told it's going to happen at New Year's Evil next week, but I'm excited to see this feud between Lexus and Trey, and me and Will both hope that Trey comes out on top with this one.
Yes, absolutely. Because I can't even tell you how I want to see Lexus King get his rear end kicked. I just want to see it. And I don't know what that says about me, but I'm just so I root for my minorities. I do, because my Native American wrestlers, my POC wrestlers, all of them, I'm here for them. I don't have any hate against any of the white wrestlers, obviously, but I really, I especially, and I don't know why it's the Native Americans that are like in my soul right now, because it's just, and we'll talk about it, like Eddie Thorpe, we'll talk about him later, but it's just they can't catch a break. It's Trey Bearhill was in the knockout, running for the knockouts, and then suddenly he's taken out. And I'm like, why did the Native American get taken out? I don't know. And if they're using him as like a tool, that makes me angry even more. But don't do that. Don't use his culture and his race as a toy. That will just irritate me so much. But yeah, when he came in that ring and just started whooping on Lexus, I was like, this is the match I want. I want this match. Because yeah, I want this match so bad. And I hope you're right. I hope we get it at Vengeance. I really do. Because that'd be great.
I really hope. Honestly, if we're not going to get it anytime soon, this is the perfect match to have on Vengeance Day. But we shall see what happens.
Yep.
And I hope I hope if they're going to drag this out, I would love, if this is a one and done feud, I would love to see Trey be triumphant. But if we're going to have 2 or 3 matches between these two, it would make sense for Lexus to win the first one and then Trey to win the second. Absolutely. And then have a blow off match where Trey needs to win the third one.
Right.
But again, they answered one of the things that we critiqued NXT on 2 weeks ago when we started this tournament. I'm like, they're listening. I swear Shawn Michaels is listening to this. Hi, Shawn Michaels. If you are watching our videos, hi, we love you. Thank you so much for bringing us NXT, because me and Will love it. Let us write for you for a week, please. Can we tour the facility? We'll give acting classes to some of the wrestlers. I will help you write some stuff if you like for a week. It'll be fun. This is where we get to the part of the night where this is the biggest question mark I had the whole entire night. We are backstage outside of the doctor's medical facility. This is the medicine bay, if you will. And Ava Raine comes out, and our backstage correspondent is like, Ava, what can you tell us about Ilya's condition? And she tells us, he's like, I got off the phone with Ilya. He says he's fine. He's coming tonight, and we'll just see when he gets here. And my question is, when and why is Ava Raine our general manager figure? What happened? Is she injured? Did she get in trouble? Why is she making matches? What happened?
I know it doesn't make any sense. There was no build to it. It just happened. After the split up of Schism.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, this is what she was doing, and I was just like, "How did this happen? I don't even understand how this. Who are you? That you have all this power." That's where I'm at. I don't understand where you got all this power from. I don't understand. I don't get it. This is my biggest question mark, because I'm just like, why? I don't understand what. I mean, is it just to keep her busy? I don't, because we haven't seen her wrestle. We haven't seen her do anything since the breakup of Schism, honestly, except those couple little promo weird scenes that she did with Joe Gacy. She hasn't done any fighting. And I'm just like, what is, I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe somebody over there does. Like, I guess. I'm assuming, because
I don't know. Yeah, I was just like, so she's making matches. She's our general manager figure. I'm like, I don't hate it, but I was like, you got to give me an explanation as to how we got here. She just showed up. I was just like, is she injured? Did she get in trouble? Like, what are we waiting on creative plans for her? Who knows? We'll see what happens with all of this. From that weird little segment, we jumped into a match. I was really surprised of how much offense Nathan Frazer got in, because this is Nathan Frazer versus Bron Breakker. It was not as one-sided as I thought it was going to be.
It really wasn't.
They made me legit believe that. No, I lied. I knew Bron Breakker was going to win, but Nathan did make me believe for a hot second. I was like, ooh, maybe not. Oh, never mind. There's the spear. That's it.
Yeah. Agreed. I knew when this happened, when this match was going to happen, I was like, I love Nathan Frazer, but Bron's going to whoop him. He's going to wipe the floor with him, is what I originally thought. But Nathan gave him a run. He held up. He held his own. He was, of course, he's fast on his feet. He's quick around the ring, which is what he did a lot of, which was that sort of swift out of the way, going to do all that. And Breakker would catch him every so often. And Breakker was, you could see, I think a lot of us forget how powerful he is. He would just pick up Nathan Frazer and toss him. There was a couple of times he just literally just went, I was just like, ooh. He literally just threw him across the ring like he was nothing. And I think Nathan got some really good hits on Bron, and there was a moment there where I was like, ooh, he could, when he anticipated the spear. And this is why I always say, I'm always talking about this, is these people should know their opponents. And this actually made me think, oh, Nathan Frazer knows Bron Breakker. He knows the spear. He understands that if he gets hit with that spear, that's the end of it. And he did anticipate that, and he got away from it the first time. Unfortunately, he did not get away from it the second time. But for a moment there, I thought, ooh, okay, Nathan could win this. I mean, he could actually win it. I was like, wow. And then the spear, the actual spear hit. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. We're done. I was like, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you're out. Yeah. But I agree. Yep. He gave him a run. I was impressed. Very much.
I was too. I was just like, Nathan put up a good fight, but ultimately Bron Breakker wins. And then they made me worried, because we saw Baron Corbin was backstage watching this whole match happen. And I'm like, listen, NXT, me and Will, I don't know how many times have told you, we did not like the feud that I don't even want to call it a feud. We got a week or 2 week build towards their match at No Mercy.
Yeah.
And it seems that we may or may not like be going for round 2. I'm like, no. I was just like, no, we didn't like the feud for this.
No.
And Baron and Bron are just spinning their wheels right now. And I said it over during the watch along. I think Bron and Carmelo are ready to head to the main roster now. For me, there's nothing left for them to accomplish. Now, granted, if you have Bron and Carmelo move to the main roster, then you take a lot of the star power out in terms of your men's roster, because with those two going to main roster and the next person who I foresee being a big star being out for 8 months to a year, and Wes Lee as he heals up, you really need to start making other stars in the men's division. Granted, you have a bunch of the new people in the breakout tournament, but
yeah, they don't have star power.
Josh Briggs is getting a push, which I'd love to see, but I need to see more singles matches from him before we start pushing him into North American or even NXT Championship. And right now, for me personally, all we have left, we still have Ilya, so that's good. Trick is a superstar right now.
Yeah.
And I also think that Josh and Eddie are slowly climbing the ranks now. So we have it. It's just that I don't know. I don't want Carmelo and Bron to be spinning their wheels here for
Yeah.
any longer. I still think that they should move to main roster after Stand and Deliver in April. After NXT's big pay-per-view WrestleMania weekend, I think both of them should go on to the main roster because there's nothing left for them to do. And I think it would be a perfect way to send Carmelo out of NXT by ending this storyline we got going on between him and Trix.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm not looking forward. You know they're going to give us Baron and Braun round 2, and I'm not here for it.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any damn sense.
I don't know.
None of it. I don't. Unless this is like a vengeance. Like I want vengeance against him because he did this, that. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't care. I don't. When we got that match, I'll tell it again, but I was literally like, I don't care who wins.
No, and it ended up being not our least favorite match at No Mercy.
Mm-hmm. It was just like, I don't care about it. And if it happens again, I'm not going to care again. Because it's like, one, I agree with you. I think Braun, he's spinning his wheels right now. Look what he's doing. He fought Nathan Frazer because he talked shit about him. Okay. You guys talk crap about each other all the time. Why? I think this is a waste of his talent and his time. I really do. I think that we're just seeing them put them in random matches because they don't want them to sit on the bench. But I'm like, these random matches don't make any sense. If you're going to put Braun Breaker in a random ass match, then put him in a match that makes sense. Put him in a match that's going to challenge him. I'm sorry, and I love Nathan Frazer, but this was not a match that would challenge Braun Breaker. It didn't challenge him. I mean, it didn't. Nathan did. He got some great hits on, and he did some great footwork, and he did some great offense. But this was not.
I don't think Braun and Nathan needed to have this fight.
No.
And I don't want to see Braun and Baron again. Now, if I'm being honest, a feud that would interest me would be Braun versus Josh right now, because listen, Braun versus Josh would be a feud. Because Josh proved tonight against Noam Dar, like he has a lot of power behind him, and we know he has the jumping moves too, because when he did the moonsault at Deadline and then in his qualifying match to get into the Iron Survivor Challenge, I think Josh and Josh and Braun would be. Yeah, Josh and Braun honestly would be a good feud for right now. So that way we could build Josh up, we build Braun up, and they let them feud for a little bit, and we wait to keep Braun out of the title picture for now. And then I don't know what we do with Baron Corbin. I don't hate. I want to stress this. I don't hate the person.
No,
I just don't like the character of Baron Corbin. Like, it does nothing for me. And
no.
I can hear our other co-host, Luis, just yelling into the ether at me because he thinks Baron Corbin is great. And I was like, just doesn't do anything for me. I'm sorry.
It doesn't. But then, because maybe he needs to go back to the main roster.
Which I think is good, but then I'm like, I don't know. I said my piece on it. I'm not.
Let him go back to the main roster and let them deal with him.
Honestly, I'm not looking forward to Baron Braun. You know they're going to give it to us, but it is what it is. So, but I'm moving on from this segment. We have a bunch of backstage segments before our next match. So first, we get a quick promo from the No Catch Quarter Crew. So that's Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey still needed a haircut. Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne. Basically, they challenged Dragon Lee and the LWO in a 6-man tag team match at New Year's Evil, which I was just like, listen, I think all 4 of the No Quarter Catch crew are awesome wrestlers, and Dragon Lee and LWO is yes, give me yes, just yes. From here, we get into the saddest bit for me and Will here. I was not expecting this next part to be so emotional.
I wasn't either, but I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. I didn't know it was going to come tonight, but I knew it was coming.
No warning, no nothing.
No, nothing. This was rough.
Yes. So we'll dive into it a little bit deeper. But what happened is we have dubbed our trio the Coyote Uglies. So that is Josh Briggs, Brooks Jensen, and Fallon Henley. They console Josh after losing the match. And man, I was not expecting Briggs to be this selfless here. So listen, I think it's time for you, Josh. You want to be a single star, so you should deserve to go. So Fallon, you shouldn't be afraid to challenge Tiffany. Everybody, I think it's just time if we go our separate ways for now. And then they do the one more time where they put it all in, and then Josh and Fallon go their separate ways, leaving Briggs by himself with the fist out. He just stares at it sadly. And I was just like, this is where I need you to show this to your students, because the subtlety and the sadness was here. I was like, see, you don't need to overact in order to sell the emotional feeling. This made me sad. And it was like, what, a 50-second to a minute backstage segment. But the Coyote Uglies are no more. Everyone is on their own. They are now single stars.
No idea what the heck's going on with Jensen now. Like, what? Because
that's the only I'm worried about.
Like, Briggs, you want to be a solo star? That's great. And then Fallon, you should go and do your thing. But no, he never once said what he was going to do.
I'm really worried about what's going to happen to our mullet curly hair boy over here, man. I don't know.
Like,
this made me super emotional. There was a lot of heart to this, and I was not ready for it.
I wasn't either. Not at all.
Man, I was just like,
yeah. See, this is why I think Josh Briggs is being put up front. And I think this had to happen in order because he's a rising star. He is good. He really is. And I think they had to pull him out of this so they could get him into a solo spot so that he can start proving himself as a solo performer and get out from underneath the tag team thing. And I think they're setting him up for something big. I really do. And it may go back to the idea of Bron and Carmelo leaving. They're trying to find their replacements, basically. So we need some folks that can step out and prove themselves and be like these superstars. Trick Williams is he's huge. And then Briggs is just a powerhouse. Because if Bron leaves, there's a vacuum there. Because Bron is like a powerhouse. He's like a massive human being. And I think, if Carmelo leaves, then you have the sort of Trick stepping into that idea, the idea of like Trick stepping into that. And I really think that's what's going on here. Because I'm just like, they've been pulling Briggs in, like, out in the front a lot. And I've been loving it because I think he's great. And the fans have been loving it too. So I think that's what I think they had to dissolve the tag team in order to basically make him quote unquote free agent where he's not tied to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hopefully Jensen maybe he'll form another tag team. Maybe he'll one of the new knockout folks. Maybe they'll get together and create something new. I don't know. Because I hope we haven't seen the last of him.
Not either.
Yeah. And of course, Fallon, she's going to become a big star too, because
she's already been proving it the last couple of months. She's ready. Yeah. And again, same thing with Josh. Josh has proven that he's ready they're both ready for singles competition.
Yep.
Man, again, I was not prepared to feel feelings. I was just like, how dare you, NXT? Then we go from this emotional moment into my laugh out loud moment. We're backstage with Ariana Grace and Ava Raine. This was so good. I was like, I don't know, if you've seen this movie, but Miss Congeniality by Sandra Bullock. Yeah, this is exactly how it felt. I was like, oh, this is so Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock. I love this so much. But essentially, Ariana Grace, poised as she is, she's Roxanne Perez hit me. And you can see the scarring.
Some of the bruises.
But because I have good cheekbones. This is so stupid. But I'm healing pretty nicely. I recommend that Roxanne Perez gets anchor management, and Ava's. We tend to agree with you. Good. I have a couple of suggestions. Where do you want to start? Oh, no. I think it was a good idea. Roxanne came here and she wants to fight you. And I say that's a good idea. So you will be facing her at New Year's Evil. Okay, bye. And Ariana Grace is just, oh, splendid. Huh.
Yay.
I was laughing so I was like, listen, at first I didn't want to like Ariana Grace's character, but if this is how she is going to be acting, I am 100% behind this.
Me too. I'm totally here for this. You're right. When this character was first introduced, I was just like, oh God, I cannot stand this tropey character type thing. And then as we've been going on, she's been becoming more and more fun. And this was just fantastic. And just her whole, oh, he did this horse. Oh, my face. Let me show. And of course, you see the 3 little marks that they put on her face. And when she was just like, oh yeah, she challenged you to a fight. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure it was just so devastating when you had to tell her no. And they're like, actually, we're gonna go ahead and let her do it. And she's like,
see about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
sure.
Oh, yeah. It was so funny. I was like, okay, all right, Ariana Grace, I'm on your side now. I'm liking you a lot more now.
This was awesome, and we'll go through all the bumpers because we also got to do quick predictions too, since NXT New Year's Evil is next Tuesday, which is crazy.
I know, right?
Then we get the final backstage segment for a little bit. Lyra and Blair's face off in this backstage interview, and I was just like, yes, this did what it needed to do. I love that Blair is being shady about it. She's, oh, Lyra has been running away from me. She blew out her knee and she's been scared to face me. And Lyra's, excuse me? Hold up.
I know.
She's like, if anyone's been running away, it's you, Blair. You're a coward. You've been attacking people in the parking lot. If I have an issue with you, I've come to people's faces. I've beaten Becky. I've beaten Zaya. She's already defended this title a lot. And you're no different. And I love it. I will continue to rise as a division. And Blair's good. I hope you cherish that because I'm going to be the reason you fall from that pedestal. And I was just like, yes, I'm so excited for this match.
Me too. I'm super hyped. After the promos we had last episode.
Last week's promo was the best. I was just like, listen, I'm here for Blair being Gothic Barbie. Seriously.
Absolutely. When she was on that balcony, I was just like,
with the roses and the thorns, I was like, Ellis, is that you? Are we in through the looking glass? What is happening?
It was so good. Whoever made the promos for the women,
give them a raise.
They need a raise. You're absolutely correct.
Seriously,
it was so good.
Woo! I am so ready for this NXT Women's Championship. I think building the way that it has been really good. From here, we get our next match, and this is the second semifinals NXT Men's Breakout Tournament match, where we see Oba Femi taking on the very charismatic and energetic Tavion Heights. Ooh. Oba Femi was ragdoll Tavion this whole match.
Yeah.
Tavion got a little offense in, but yeah, this was Oba Femi's show, and Oba Femi picks up the victory. So it is going to be him versus Riley Osborne in the finals next week at New Year's Evil, and I am excited. I'm rooting for Riley.
Be so good. Oh, me too. I'm totally here for Riley. I'm in Riley's camp. Absolutely.
But man, this is going to be a good match between Oba and Riley.
I agree. I think it's going to be damn good.
It is. From here, we get this was the low point for me. Listen, I don't like Baron Corbin, right? But we had to replay what happened in our main event last week with Ridge Holland hurting Ilya. And then we get a tweet saying that Ridge is apologizing to Ilya. And then we get told that we're going to get an exclusive one-on-one interview. Dateline, what is this? Next week at New Year's Evil. And why? I don't understand. What is the purpose of doing this? I don't like the fact that we're playing on like the things that happened to Ridge Holland when he injured Big E and Elton Prince of Pretty Deadly. I don't like this. I don't care if Ridge Holland agreed to this. I was just like, somebody should have been like, maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah. I'm so upset about this. This was probably the one moment in this whole episode where I was just like, I shut down. I was like, no, I'm not here for this. I don't want any part of it. This trauma is you're playing with people's trauma, and I don't like that. You're monetizing on it, and I don't like that at all. I don't care. I agree. I don't care if both parties agreed to it. I don't care. It was whoever came up with this idea should be fired because you don't monetize, you don't commercialize people's trauma. You don't do that. And this was bad. This was so bad. And then to replay it, I'm like, and then the tweet, and I was just like, stop. Oh my gosh. So angry.
I'm really nervous about this interview next week. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what it's leading to, but I just don't like it. From here, we get our next match, which definitely was a different pick me up. We had Joe Squared, Joe Coffey versus Joe Gacy. This, I don't know what I watched. But
this match was a match I never knew I needed.
Same. I was like, I think I took acid, you guys, because I'm straight tripping. But like,
I don't know where this came from. Honestly, I don't know where, but I don't care. That's what was so great about it. This is one of those matches where it's like, where the hell did this come from? I really don't care. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was almost my match of the night. It truly was, because we know what's coming next. It was almost my match of the night because it was that good. And it was corny and fantastic and crazy and stupid and wonderful. It was just all of that. I never knew that I needed Joe Gacy versus Joe Coffey. I never knew I needed this.
The audience was on point this whole entire match.
It was so good. And it was, and Joe Gacy was like, he brought it. Because we know Joe Coffey can wrestle. We know he can. And man, but Joe Gacy, man, he brought whatever he was bringing. He brought it. Oh my God. And I love that we had the cameo from Hank and Tank.
Oh, our lovable himbos.
Yeah. To prevent the Coffee King there from interfering. I thought that was great. It was fantastic. This was such a great match. I can't even tell you how much I enjoyed this. Because Joe Gacy's been lurking around the place like the Phantom of the Opera for like weeks now. And I'm just like, what are they doing with him? And then all of a sudden he's like wrestling Joe Coffey. Because remember the last week he was like eyeballing Joe Coffey in that one episode. And I was just like, what is this all about?
I have no idea.
I have no clue what it's about, and I'm excited for that. This is one of those, this is how you do a match that makes no sense, because it's leading to something. We don't know what it is, but it's leading to something because they set it up in the previous episodes. And it just by little bitty things, we don't know why. We have no clue. And that's what's so wonderful about it. Because we're going to find out. You know we are. And I'm so excited for it. It was just such a good match. And then, of course, Joe Gacy won. And I was like, what? Which also surprised me. I was very surprised that Joe Gacy won over Joe Coffey.
I don't know if this is going to lead to a 6-man with Hank and Gacy versus the Gallus Boys, but I am here for whatever weird feud that this is.
Too. I am too.
So good. I'm really excited for this. Backstage, we see Dragon Lee with LWO. Essentially, they agree to the 6-man match at New Year's Evil against No Quarter Catch Crew. Again, I love the switch between English and Spanish for everybody. And then the full LWO is reunited because Elektra Lopez comes in and she's excited, La Madrina, as they call her. I was like, yes, I hope she never loses that moniker, La Madrina. But I was very interested to see that Lola Vice was not having this reunion. She was like rolling her eyes, like whatever. I was like, ooh, girl.
Because she wasn't center of attention.
I was like, ooh. Listen, I'm here for spicy drama. This is a telenovela.
Yeah, this is. Even when she was like, hola, I was like, oh.
I was just like, listen here, prima. I was like, you need to calm down, girl. I was just like, you remind me of literally, this reminded me of how everyone has that one. Okay. So everyone has that one bougie cousin, but specifically in Latin families, like we all have that one bougie cousin. She thinks she's good and she's too good for everybody. I was like, this literally is like that. This is the family reunion between everybody. And the bougie girl, the bougie cousin walks through and she rolls her eyes and just gives you like nothing. I'm like, ooh, girl, listen, I'm interested to see because I was like, Elektra's going to be the face in this. I'm here for it if Lola turns on her.
I know. She was not having it. It was so funny. She was just
ooh. I was just like,
and I was like, ooh, girl, your face is sour. And then when they were like, oh, let me introduce you to my friend. And she was like, hola. I was like,
I'm like, girl, you can't have that nasty attitude. Listen, again, I'm here for the drama. That's because I'm messy. I am a messy person. I live for the drama.
I do too. I absolutely do.
And Will are messy, you guys.
This was just, I was like, if faces could speak. Her face was speaking volumes during this whole thing. And it was just the way she was just like, I was just like, girl. Oh, I'm sorry. And the only thing she said was hola. And it was just the way she said it. I was just like, ooh, girl, you better calm your jets. Ooh, Lord. Man, it was great. The drama. I'm here for it.
Me too. I am so excited for this. So so before we get into our main event, we do have our bumpers for the matches that are going to be at New Year's Evil. We will do our predictions really quickly because I think they're going to be really easy to pick. If I'm being completely honest. So let's start with our non-title matches. So Ariana Grace versus Roxanne Perez. I don't know.
I think Roxanne's going to win, but I would love if Ariana Grace would win, but I think Roxanne's going to win.
I think Roxanne needs to win a little bit more given the fact that she lost big time against Fallon at Deadline in that cage match. Not Fallon, Kiana, I should say. By the way, I was surprised not to see Kiana this week. We'll figure out what's going on with that. So I would love to see Ariana win, but I'm going to pick our girl Roxanne because
I'm going to go with Roxanne.
She needs this win.
Yeah.
Okay, so they clarified this because we talked about this last week. I was like, listen, I don't know how indentured servitude is going to work in 2023.
Yeah.
But it's only for a day. So in a ranch hand or servant for a day match, Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley. I think Fallon should win this one.
I think Fallon should win this one. I agree. And I love me some Barbie Quinn, but I think Fallon needs to win it, especially after the savaging she got.
She got trash dumped on her. I was just like, she needs to win.
She does, and I would love. There's nothing I would love to see more than Tiffany Stratton shoveling horse poop.
That would be a fun segment.
There is nothing I want to see more than that. It's like truly, just oh my god.
Just for the pure comedic effect, I want to see it so much. Okay, so now our 6-man tag, we have Dragon Lee and LWO versus whatever 3 members they decide to put up for the no quarter catch crew. I got to pick
Dragon Lee and LWO. Absolutely. There's no way they're gonna bring LWO into this and let them lose. There's just no way. I'm definitely Dragon Lee and LWO. Absolutely. I will be absolutely shocked if they don't win.
Seriously. I think they need I think Dragon Lee and LWO should win this one, but you never know. NXT wants to be unpredictable sometimes. Okay, so now we get in to our championship matches, which I'm like, this is gonna be good. Listen, I am so excited. Let's start with, for the NXT Women's Championship, Lyra Valkyria versus Blair Davenport. Lyra's gonna win, but holy crap, I'm ready for these two to beat the snot out. I want these two to beat the snot out of each other.
I want this to be a knockout, drag out, pull hair, scratch eyeballs out type of fight. I want this to be a girl fight.
Yeah, there's gonna be kicks. There's gonna be
Yep.
stiff arms, and both of
Yep.
these girls come from the UK scene, so you know they're gonna about to hit hard. And
Yep.
I'm excited for Lyra to have this, but more importantly, I'm really happy to finally see Blair Davenport like be able to actually be in the title picture now, because I think she's put
Wow.
in her dues, and I'm ready for her. This is going to be great. And then, of course, for the NXT Championship, Ilya Dragunov defending it against our Men's Iron Survivor Challenge winner, Trick Williams. There are way too many variables because obviously Ilya, I think, is going to retain despite everything that has happened so far. But the question is, does Trick lose clean, or does Carmelo get involved and cost him the match?
See, I'm hoping that Carmelo gets involved and costs him the match, because I still think, and again, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier about Carmelo being ready for the main roster. This whole thing with Carmelo feels like an exit. Like he's getting ready to exit on. So I think that this is a perfect opportunity for them to truly create a rift between these two men where a separation is like easy. Like a really good, let's leave on either really bad terms or really good terms, whatever. But this whole thing with Carmelo Hayes has just felt like an exit, like he's getting ready to walk out, exit stage. So I kind of hope, of course, you always want a clean fight. You really do. You always want someone to either win or lose clean. But I think this has to not be clean. I really hope that Carmelo Hayes costs this Trick Williams the title. I really hope that's what they do. Normally I would not, but because of what's going on between Carmelo and Trick, I think it has to be that way. And they're setting it up. And the way that Carmelo has constantly been like, you should make this a three-way. You should make it this. You should blah, blah, blah. He's trying to get into this fight. And I don't think it has anything to do with helping Trick. It's to help himself. And I think that he's going to come into this and something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. I really believe that. And it's going to cost Trick the title. I think Ilya's going to retain. I think the injury was to set us all up thinking, oh, maybe he's not going to, he'll come into this not at 100% and blah, blah, blah. And of course, they will milk that for everything that it's worth. Trick will hit him in the neck or something, or something's going to happen where it's, oh no, the injury, it's like, so I can see them using that. And then I can see Ilya, like something happening with Carmelo, or even Ilya just coming back. And if he does win clean, that's great. But I think there's going to be another. I think Trick is going to lose this one, and there's going to be a rematch at Vengeance, which would be fantastic. I think that would be a great place to do it. But that's just me.
That is very fair. But again, I agree. I think Ilya is going to retain. And I don't know, man. We shall see, because I will be very interested to see if Carmelo gets involved and in what capacity.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Strap in, kids, because we get to our main event, and child, this was a 15-minute match, but it did not feel like it.
Nope.
In our main event, we have an NXT Underground match where we have Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak, and obviously this doesn't need to be said. Anybody who watched the episode or the watch along knows how much we were screaming during this, and I can honestly say this was mine and Will's match of the night. This was the match of the night, and what a way to end 2023. Woo! I don't even know where to start.
I can say this. I'll start with this. This match had my anxiety going. I was like, oh my God. Because this is the match that Mikey and I have been wanting. This is because if you go back and watch like months ago when we talked about Eddie Thorpe and Dijak, this feud they've got. And we were talking about we wanted the warrior, the Eddie Thorpe warrior coming in and just like annihilating this guy. And we got it. That's what we got. We got the warrior Eddie Thorpe. He came in with the cool tribal makeup on, and even in the beginning of it, when he was standing in the corner and Dijak came in and was like talking to him, you could feel he was different. You could feel that his whole physicality was like solid. And I was like, oh my God, this match is going to be unhinged, because this is an underground. This is like no ropes. This is like nothing. It's just a mat, basically just the mat and
floor. We should even explain the rules. The only way to win this match is either by KO, TKO, or submission. There's no count outs. There is no pinning.
Nothing.
Woo! And
it was brutal. It was brutal. And I don't know, won't lie, there were moments where I thought it was not going to turn out the way I was hoping it would turn out. And I was going to be very mad, because I have ranted on this whole thing over and over again about how every match that Eddie Thorpe has fought since I've been here, he has either lost it and gotten his butt kicked, or he's won it and gotten his butt kicked. And I'm just like, why are they picking on the Native American wrestler? And I was just like, I don't get it. What was it? The last ones,
last time they faced off was the strap match. No, they had a singles match after Deadline and the rope break.
Yeah, he was savage. He was like, Dijak was hitting him with the hook of that thing. And it was bad. It was so bad. And then he fought, I don't remember who Eddie fought. And then
he took on Charlie Dempsey, and then they beat him up after the match.
Yeah. And I'm just like, what is going on? And then Trey Bearhill gets knocked out of that. And I'm just like, what is going on? And I was getting pissed.
But you know what? They made up for it. They made up for it for both of them.
Eddie, when he made his entrance even felt different. Even though it was the same one, it felt so much more powerful. I don't know. It was crazy. I was so on edge. This whole fight, I was on edge. And oh God, it was so good. It was so good. It totally beat my expectations. Truly. Totally beat them.
Absolutely. And just to highlight some of our favorite moments, the entrance was amazing. I thought Dijak died when Eddie monkey flipped him to the floor, but he stood on up.
Yeah.
He threw Eddie to the floor. Eddie beating Dijak with the weighted belt. You could hear those slaps. I was just like, beat him like you owe him something. Oh my gosh.
Seriously.
That was intense. Dijak like ramming Eddie into the pole. And then, of course, the final maneuver, Dijak goes to try to throw Eddie into the announcer's table with the stairs, but Eddie reverses it, and they both go down.
Real quick, can we talk before you get into the final? Can we talk? We were talking. I think it may have been the match prior to this. I think is what we were with the. No, it was with. I think it was. I don't. It doesn't matter. But we were talking about back in my day. The sleeper hold was a finisher.
Yes.
It was a true finisher. And then now it's not. Now it's not. Now it's they got the sleeper. Oh, they got out of it. But back in my day, they couldn't get out of it. That was what was so great. But that's why. And Eddie put the sleeper on him, and I was like, oh my God, we were literally just talking about this.
And Dijak was struggling not to pass out. But Eddie was able to capitalize, and he threw himself and Dijak onto the table. It broke. Eddie was able to stand up. That knocked out Dijak. So the winner of this NXT Underground match and going 2-0 in Underground matches is Eddie Thorpe. and the whole roster who is out there and the audience were celebrating with Eddie. Again, this is the match that we and Will have been waiting for since this feud started back during the summer. Now that we've gotten this point, I'm ready for Eddie and Dijak to move on to whatever's next for them. But specifically for Eddie, I'm ready for him to see what's next for Eddie in 2024. This man, had we gotten this match before we did the end of the year podcast, I might have put this as my favorite storyline and across anything right now.
Well, I said it once, I'll say it again. This is the best story arc ever. I have ever been so invested in a character arc like this one. And it evolved. It was a truly organic thing. It was evolving from one thing to the other. And then it wasn't one of those just, oh, we're just doing these things. No, it was like you could see the evolution of these two characters with each other. And then it all came down to this last fight. And man, it was so good. It was so good.
It was so good. Again, our match of the night. But we weren't done yet because we got one more thing before NXT goes off the air this week. We had a sit down between Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov. And I have to say, the juxtaposition of the blue light on Trick and the red light on Ilya makes the small cinematography effect make it one more. But basically, Trick is, yo, bro, Ilya, I'm ready to face you. But if you need to push it back, man, I want you to be at 100%. I got this. I want no excuses. Signs the contract. Ilya rebuttal saying is, bro, I don't need to push it back. You are not ready for me, and takes off the neck brace and throws it off. I was just like, oh, what a power boo. What a giga chad you are, Ilya. Signs the contract. They stand up. They shake hands, but they're menacingly facing each other as NXT goes off the air. I am so ready for both the men and women's championship match at New Year's Evil. I am so ready.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. But with that, Will, that brings us to the end of this week's NXT review. So last thing we got to do before we get on out of here is to give this an overall rating. I've really enjoyed this episode.
I do too. This is probably the closest I'll ever get to a 10. And I give it a 9.5.
Same.
Because other than the recap of the trauma issue, I thought this episode was banger. Man, it was banger.
A certified banger, as the kids say.
Exactly. It was. I don't think there was a weak match in the whole thing. I thought it flowed well. Even the backstage stuff wasn't pointless. It was like, if they could do more of these, man, they'd have it made. And the main event was like cherry on top. It was perfect. Everything built to that moment. And I loved it.
It was so good. I agree. 9.5 out of 10 for me. Outside of Ridge's thing, and then Baron Corbin and Bron might be a thing again. Who knows? But this pre-tape really did help with the flow, and nothing felt out of place. The matches were good themselves. There's a lot of surprises. The NXT Underground match was my match of the night, and honestly, it might be my match of the second half of 2023 for me personally, in terms of regular weekly TV shows. And there was a lot of surprises too. Like, I wasn't expecting Noam and Josh to be so brutal in that Heritage Cup match, which was beautiful to see. This episode did a really good job of making me excited for New Year's Evil next week, which me and Will are going to be back next week to review New Year's Evil. Listen, the WWE boys are going to be busy. The Raw squad has day one for Monday Night Raw. The Los Chicos Gordos crew has NXT's New Year's Evil. And then the SmackDown Friday Night Faction boys have New Year's Revolution. So listen, all the WWE boys are going to be busy. And then there's a lot going on in WWE land. And also, y'all going to want to stay tuned later in the next week, because I don't know why we decided to agree upon this, but you will see some of us be reviewing New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom pay-per-view. We don't normally cover New Japan here on the Bi-Conics, but this is the biggest pay-per-view for New Japan, and we're going to be reviewing it Also, you will see the AEW boys cover World's End, which is happening this weekend too. So listen, you thought there was not going to be enough content over the holidays. Guess what? You're wrong. We got a lot of stuff. And in fact, if you enjoyed this, thank you for joining us for our first official live stream ever on the Bi-Conics. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait to start doing this with some of the other stuff. So in 2024, expect to see a little bit more of these live streams from time to time. They're a good time. And also, if you enjoyed this, you can check out all the other edited reviews we have here on the YouTube channel at the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. You can also check us out on Patreon, where you can see exclusive videos. If you join the Patreon, you can watch the watch along we just had for this particular episode we're reviewing. And if you want to hear the raw and unedited version, you're going to want to subscribe to the Patreon, because that's the only way you're going to see these exclusive videos that will never make YouTube, because WWE would copy strike us in a heartbeat. But if you want to know and get notifications on when anything we do happens on the YouTube or the Patreon, make sure to follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod, and make sure that you subscribe to whatever your favorite podcasting network happens to be, because the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast is anywhere and everywhere. We talk a lot of smack. It is intense. It gets nuts. I'm super excited because I am currently editing the end of the year audio version of it. And then there's going to be an exclusive podcast episode that you're going to have to subscribe in order to figure it out. But Will, thank you so much for being a part of this first ever live stream. This went very well.
I think so too.
And of course, from myself, Will, and the rest of the Bi-Conics boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Bi-Conic, you beautiful bastards. But until the next review, we'll see you later. Until then, for now.